Okay, so I saw like a search about this, so I just wanted to talk about it because I feel like a lot of people have questions. They started using it recently or something like that. I just feel like we don't have a really good resource from another stylist who's like behind the chair doing what we're doing. We have the apps and we see like the master color experts and those people, the people who have been using it for 30 years and who have, like the ones who educate on it and the ones who are going to tell you, oh, we got to go by the rules and teach exactly how the company wants and manufacturer's direction. Well, I'm not that person, so I'm just going to show you what I know about it and what I would want to know as a new stylist if I was just starting to use it. So I saw a search for Wella Blondor. So this is what it is. And this is Wella's lightener, or one of their lighteners. So normally whenever you see or hear like Wella Blondor lightener, this is the one that you're going to see. This is their most like common one. And so it's a powder lightener. Okay, here's their other one. It's called Blondor Plex, and it has a big 9 beside it. So the Blondor Plex means that there is a bond like builder already inside of it. So this is the same thing as Blondor. It's a powder lightener, but it has the bonder inside of it. The Blondor Plex the Blondor, the first one I just showed you, the regular one, it doesn't have a bonder inside of it, but this one does. And the big 9 right next to it means that this provides up to 9 levels of lift. And then these are all of the developers that you can mix with the lighteners. So these blue kind of just show you that it goes with your permanent line or with the lighteners. And so you have 1.9 or 6%, which is also referred to as pastel. All of these also mix with the permanent line from Wella, which is KP Coleston Perfect. But back to the lighteners. So then the 4% is 13 volume, 6% is 20 volume. There is a 3% that I just realized isn't in this picture, but that would be a 10 volume. 9% is 30 volume and 12% is 40 volume. Any of these can be mixed with Wella Blondor. I normally don't mix above a 20 volume with lightener just because I want it to go kind of low and slow as compared to really fast and quick, which would be what a 9% or 12% would provide me, a 30 or 40 volume. Those are going to go really fast, but then they're also going to drop off really fast. So they don't work well when I'm trying to get someone many levels, and I've seen it happen. And I also don't like putting these lighteners under heat, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, and then this is their free lights, which is their clay lightener. So it is also a powder, but it's for freehand lightening. And then that has all the developers there, and that smaller one to the right is just like a smaller bottle than having to get the full big size. So this line only has 20, 30, and 40 volume. It doesn't have a 10 volume because that's just way too gentle. You could also look at these as being 10, 20, and 30 because it's like the lowest. 20 is like the lowest it'll go. So, and since it's like open air, it really only goes to like 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. That's basically how these are gonna lift if you do it open air. So yeah, you could, that's how I kind of look at it. So the thing that I was gonna say with the lighteners is that I don't normally like to use heat whenever I foil or really with any kind of lightener, just because with Wella Blondor, it doesn't expand inside the foil, which I really like because we all know whenever you retouch a highlight, you can't avoid, it's impossible to avoid overlapping. You have to overlap just a little bit, or you're going to have that weird little line of brown between the new blonde and the previous blonde. So, but whenever you do put it under heat, it does expand the lightener, and it either leaks out of the foil, giving you a demarcation line at the top, or it expands too far into that previous blonde, and you just put it more at risk for breaking because you're basically overlapping even more than you would have. So I don't like to use it under the heat. I do actually use free lights under heat only whenever I use cling wrap. Whenever I'm doing balayage, I cover it with cling wrap. I do put that under heat only to warm it up a little bit. Most of the time, the temperature of the room affects how it lifts. And so with foils, what I'll do is put a towel on top to kind of warm it up. But whenever I'm doing open air balayage, it's not technically open air because I'm using cling wrap, but I'm not covering it with foil. That's with free lights. I will put it under heat just to kind of boost it a little because I don't want to push it down and like smash it through the section since we all know it's surface painting. But anyways, and I actually personally use free lights even to highlight, so I do use it inside of foil just because it is much more gentle and you can process a little slower, and you have more control over it because it's a little bit thicker, and I kind of like a lightener that's a little bit thicker, especially since most of my highlight clients are retouches, so it doesn't expand. Because that doesn't expand, but even if I were to put it under heat, it still isn't as harsh of a lightener. It's just more gentle than a regular Blondor powder lightener would be. So anyways, I just saw, a bunch of people were searching for Wella Blondor, and I know there's so much more and so much, like, more deeper that we could go on this subject, but I think those are like the main things that I would want to know about this line when I first started to use it. So I'm sure that more will come up, and if there is anything, you can like DM me on Instagram. Feel free to message me wherever you can find my socials, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. But I hope this was helpful, and if you have more questions, I'd love to share more. Just let me know.